Welcome, one and all, to Spencer Eats 10 chili dogs, drinks a gallon of root beer, and then shits his entire ass. I'm Alex.
I'm Spencer.
Oh no. There he is.
Boy, I'm
Get away
feeling
from me.
flush today.
You feel a little hungry? You feel a package? You
I'm
want some chili
hungry.
dogs?
I'm thirsty, and I need to shit.
Great. Welcome to the show.
Good energy to bring. I think we even broke a YouTube rule. We're not supposed to swear in the first, what?
We're not monetized. Well, wait. Don't tell the don't tell the
Listen to
audience
this
that.
goal of yours.
We are monetized.
Alex's fantastic goals is that we're not monetized, so let's not follow any of the rules. That's such a
Fuck it,
defeatist.
man.
That's a defeatist mentality.
Okay, we are monetized. We're brought to you by Sonic and their delicious chili dogs. Not Sonic the Hedgehog, but Sonic the Restaurant. And their delicious chili dogs, and also A&W root beer and their delicious root beer. Great combo.
Mm.
Go eat a chili. Yeah, go eat a chili dog. Go drink a root beer. Go shit your entire ass.
Shit your ass.
Shit. Your entire ass. not just your ass. The whole thing. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Video Game Debate Club. We are back again. Guess who's back? Tell a friend. And we are going to be doing a video game debate. If you don't know how this show works, because this is our second episode, me and Spencer, we have decided on a video game related topic to debate. Last time it was the PlayStation 5 versus the Xbox Series S and X and Sex and whatever the fuck they call that thing. Series 6. What these players don't have. This time we're going to be debating another hot button topic, probably more hot button than the last episode. We're going to be debating physical versus digital video games. So as of right now, neither of us have a side. The way that we do this on Video Game Debate Club is we don't actually know who's going to be debating what yet until the episode starts. We flip a coin, and then that decides our sides. Who's going to take which side? So this will be interesting.
So basically, I'm going to flip the coin. Alex is going to call it. Alex, if you win, you're physical. If you lose, you're defending digital games.
Okay.
You ready?
And either way, Terry's going to hate me.
Yeah. Terry will find a way to say that you're wrong no matter which side you're on. So you've already lost to Terry. But you're trying to win the rest of the crowd. So let's
Yeah.
All right, you ready? Heads?
I'm ready.
Or tails?
I think last time I called tails, so I'm going to go with heads.
All right, we're flipping it. Remember, if you get it right, you're physical. You get it wrong, you're digital. We're looking for heads. Heads it is.
I'm physical. Let's get
digital.
physical. All right. So the debate here, we do have 5 categories to get through. We are going to go up against each other. We will have opening statements before then. And each time we do a new topic, we will take turns before debating on that topic, just like a normal debate would go. Spencer, I want to hear your opening statement first, if you would like to go first.
Sure. You know, as the gaming landscape expands and technology improves, we have new options for how to digest games, how to get games, how to play games. It used to be back in the day, you'd have to have a physical console. You have to have physical games. You have to, archaically put them into the box and then click the button that makes them play. In 2025, I think we're beyond that. I think physical media just gets in the way. It creates a lot of clutter. It breaks. I mean, I think we can all remember blowing into a cartridge just to get it to play a Batman game. Digital offers so many advantages that we're going to go over today in the different segments that we have. But it is the way of the future. And if you're denying the path of the future, then you're just going to be an old grandpa yelling at clouds. And I think that's usually the arguments I hear from the physical side. We over here at the digital universe are ready to move forward to an infinite storage, infinite possibility, and infinite fun way of thinking. So, go digital.
Physical games have been a tradition since video gaming even started back in the 1970s. The idea of a physical game is to have pure ownership over your products. It's also a great way to engage with your products and collect your products, and really, it feels like you really own something tangible. We're going to hear a lot tonight about the future and what it holds, and all that babble. Really, it's just going to be a way for him to try to defend greedy corporations that don't want to actually sell you anything except for a license to play their game for the same price as a physical product, which is criminal. Today, we are going to be looking at physical games and why they are the superior method, and they have been the superior method of gaming for what is it, like been like 40 years now or something. It's been a crazy long time. Um, yeah, I'm excited to share physical games with all of you. And actively share them, like let you borrow my games. It'll be nice.
Okay. Well, it's the first segment.
I don't know. You have the list. I forgot the list.
Oh, I don't have the list. But anyway,
fuck no.
Let's talk about accessibility.
All right.
And I hope I spelled that right. I don't think I did, but we're gonna pretend that I did. You want me to go first on all these, or what? Is that how you want to structure it?
Yeah, sure. You can go first.
Let's talk about accessibility. I'm gonna outline the process of playing a physical game and then playing a digital game. Physical game. You're sitting on your couch. You decide you want to play a game. Stand up from your couch. Walk over to a shelf. Find game on your bookshelf or whatever it is that you're holding your games on. Pull out the case. Open it. Make sure that the right game is in that case, because sometimes it ain't. Pull it out. Look at disc or cartridge. Make sure that it, is in playable function, because as these games age, it gets worse and worse. Go to console. Eject whatever is in there. Find that box for wherever that game goes. Open it. Place cartridge / CD, whatever, into box. Close it. Put it back. Go back to console. Put your new game into console. Close it in. Could be some other steps, but I'm not going to go into those specifically. Walk back to couch, pick up controller, and play. I gotta tell you, I'm already tired. I think my stamina as a gamer has already ended. Like I've run out, and I'm exhausted. Now I'm going to outline what it's like to play a digital game. Okay. You're on couch. Pick up controller. Select game on the options above. Play. I think with accessibility, we can see a very clear winner. I don't even think this is really up for debate. I know he's going to try to debate this on the other side of the aisle, which is laughable. Accessibility on the digital front is infinitely better. It's not even close. Steam has been doing this for years. It's known this since the mid 2000s. Gamers want things to be easy. They want a simple process, and digital offers that in spades. Way easier. So I don't even think there's any debate. I think we'll just give me the win, and we don't even need to really hear your side because digital is the clear-cut winner.
Let's go back to Christmas of 1996. You just got your first PlayStation. You take it out of the box, you hook it up, and you got a brand new copy of Grand Theft Auto. Wow. You pop that into your PlayStation, and you're ready to roll. You're playing. You're playing, baby. That's all it takes. Let's go to Christmas of 2026. Little Jimmy gets a PlayStation 5 with 500 gigs of storage. He gets a digital download of Grand Theft Auto 6, which is no doubt going to take up like 130 gigs. He's got to wait all of Christmas Day to play his copy of Grand Theft Auto 6 because it's got to download. It's going to take a while. Let's also say little Jimmy gets a copy of Call of Duty and a few other games, even if they are physical. Call of Duty, another 100 gig game. He's got to pop that into his PlayStation 5. It's got to not play off the disc. It's got to download a digital game to the console, which is going to take even longer. Oops. Hey, little Jimmy. I think your console's almost out of storage. You may want to watch out. He buys a few more games, maybe with some Christmas money, and little Jimmy can't play his games. They're taking up too much space. Does he want to buy an Mom and Dad, you got to buy me an SSD to expand my PlayStation. They don't even know what that means. They don't even know what the hell that means. At least with the physical games, he can uninstall them, put it on his shelf, and they're there. He can pop it in, and sure, he has to download the annoying digital updates again, but they're right there. With the digital games, he has to actively remove them from his console in order to play other digital games. The convenience comes with the price. You're gonna have to really invest. You're gonna have to build like $1,000 PlayStation 5 with all the memory that you're gonna have to install on that guy in order to hold a larger library of games. Now let's go back to little Jimmy in 1996. He has a whole row of 10 physical PlayStation 1 games. He pops them in, they play, and everything is smooth sailing. Parents don't have to update anything. They don't have to do anything. There's no internet involved. It's just pure gaming.
Well, okay, but let's fast forward that just even maybe a month.
Mhm.
How many of those games are still there? How many has little Jimmy lost? How many has he accidentally snapped? How many has he scratched? How many of them are in the wrong case? How many of them can he find? I would argue that if he got 10 games, only about 6 or 7 of them are still even in a playable state.
In a few months?
In a few months from little Jimmy. An older person might respect those a little more, but little Jimmy, I don't foresee
this is all little Jimmy's been looking forward to all year. He's taking care of this PlayStation.
I think history will show that people have always, as especially when they're younger, have lost a good percentage of their games due to something, either negligence, trading it on the schoolyard, doing stuff like that. So,
what did you say? Trading?
Trading, yeah.
What is that? What is that? I don't think you know what that term is.
I do know what that term is, and I think if I would describe trading, I would call it an illegal way of exchanging media. Because you don't have a license to sell that stuff, and therefore it's not open to the free market that it should be. So I have problems with exchanging media in that terms. And if you want to get into GameStop about how corrupt selling pre-owned games is, we can do that for sure. But
well, we're not gonna talk about GameStop today. They barely sell games as it is.
And good, because they're evil corporation. But yeah, I would challenge that little Jimmy might not be able to access a lot of the games that he got because he simply lost them, gave them away, broke them.
That's on little Jimmy though. That's not a technological limitation. Unlike
I
little
think
Jimmy from 2026.
I think by definition it's a technological limitation. The media is physical and therefore is prone to the trauma that the real world gives. Whereas digital, it's all up there, folks. Yes, you could take your hard drive and snap it in half. You could take your PS5 and snap it in half. It'd be harder, but you could snap it in half. You could break it on your knee.
Maybe the slam, right?
but but guess what? Your ownership of it is already logged. So you can get a new PS5 and you can download it straight from the cloud. Done.
And you can play your 3 games. Because that's all your hard drive is going to hold.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe we segue that into value. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, let's talk about value. And I'll go first on value. I think this is an easy win for me. Not only because of the secondhand market, which my opponent really doesn't like, but whenever you buy a product, it should really be yours from that point on to do whatever you want with. You've already bought the license to do whatever you want with it. It's called buying the damn product. So if you want to sell it secondhand, if you want to, you can do that, and that's a great way to get some really cheap games. I remember back on the Xbox One. If you wanted to buy a lot of the games from Microsoft digitally, hey, you know what? I kind of want to play Gears of War 4. They're going to be like, okay, well, give us $50 on the digital storefront. Or I can say, hey, eBay, I want to play Gears of War 4. And someone's like, okay, give me $7. And that's the true value of physical games. But also, physical games are much more than that. They go up in value. They can be a great investment. Because a lot of physical games, especially a lot of Japanese physical games for consoles that I know somebody else likes, maybe like the 3DS, maybe some RPGs, they actually increase in value drastically over time. To where, hey, if you bought, I don't know, a copy of Persona Q2 and you hung on to that bad boy, guess what? You could flip that guy for about $250 right now. That's a lot of money. As for a digital copy of Persona Q2 on your 3DS, what the hell are you gonna do with that? You can't sell that. That's just gonna sit there. You don't want to play it ever again? Guess what? Too bad. You can't sell it. You can sell your 3DS, I guess, but that's still not of the same value. Digital games, sure, they go on sale, which is great. Physical games also do go on sale, which is equally as great. But you can do a lot more with a physical game than you can a digital game.
My friend on the other side of the aisle here has really missed the mark with this argument that he has. First off, I want to address some of the things he talked about as far as viewing games as an investment. I think sometimes with hobbies, we're tempted to view it in two different ways. One is the love of the hobby, and one is the investment in the hobby. I prefer to look at video games as the love of the hobby, the love of playing your games, the love of enjoying the gaming, the love of looking at it as an art. I think looking at it as an investment is a very terrible way to experience video games. It makes you buy things you wouldn't normally buy. It makes you buy things you have no intention of playing. It makes you buy things that you don't want, but you want it for the monetary value of what it may have in the future. Basically treating it like a stock. I would argue that is a detriment to video games, and you shouldn't do that. You should buy games that you intend to play, that you intend to get your enjoyment out of, that you intend to make a lasting impression on you. Otherwise, why don't we just all buy the most random Japanese game that we think is going to pop off in 3 years? So to that, I think that whole argument should be tossed out. I'm going to ask the people in the comments to make sure that they throw basically everything you just said about that out the window. And then I also want to say that as far as value goes, yes, you can sell these to your friends, and you can sell these to GameStop, and they'll give you a real good deal on a lot of these games. But I would argue that the fact that games no longer have to take shelf space actually makes their value exponentially higher. And let me explain that to you. So let's say that you have a bunch of games from EA sitting on a shelf. Those games essentially cost that company money every time that they're sitting on that shelf. And they have to price accordingly. So they always have to make a profit off of that. If we change that to a digital landscape where you have a marketplace that's online, those games no longer require a certain profit margin because they're sitting on a shelf. They don't take up shelf space. They don't take up any space. So therefore, the prices can be a lot more liquid. The prices can go up and specifically down because they usually start at the highest MSRP and then drop. And you'll notice that digital games go on sale quicker, and they go on sale a lot deeper than physical games. Because honestly, physical games, they only even last on the shelf until probably a couple months, and then they go on clearance. So, and unless it's like a bigger game like Elden Ring or Madden stays on for like the entire year. But most of these games, they don't even last on the shelf. So not only is it a better value to have digital games, but it also, not better value. Hold on. I had that. But it also makes these games last longer in the eyes of the gamers, because you could just make a game popular again by putting it on sale. And there you go. It delivers that value to all the gamers. So I disagree with the idea that physical games are a better value. I actually think digital offers a better value. And I don't even think this is a segment, but I'm going to bring it up, is that they actually offer a more even playing field for smaller developers to put value to gamers. So now they don't have to compete with shelf space with a Madden, with Elden Ring, with huge games that come out. You can just put your digital game on the same platform as those, and they're side by side and they're cheaper. So now it actually offers a much better space. And I think we've seen that with indie games in general, is their ability to take off, whereas they never could have had that opportunity in a world of shelf space.
That is nice in theory, but that's not the reality we live in. The price of games keep going up. Nintendo's doing $80 games now. Xbox just announced they are doing $80 games now. I'm sure PlayStation will follow suit. So the price of a physical PlayStation or Xbox or Switch 2 game will be $80 on the shelf when you go into the store to buy it. So you say you want to buy GTA 6. Your argument was that they're cheaper in price because they don't have to take up the shelf space. That's not the reality we live in. They're going to charge you the same amount as that physical copy you're going to physically own forever. They're going to charge you the same amount, $80, for a license to play a digital game. So the value doesn't really add up there. Why are we paying the same amount as the physical copy you could buy in the store as the digital version you don't own?
Well, no. So you may have misunderstood. So the value initially will be the same. It's MSRP.
Well, yeah, but why? But you argued that they don't have to price it that way because they don't take up shelf space. Then why are digital games priced that way?
Well, here's a couple of reasons. So, one, modern games are just digital games. You get the game, but it's really just a download code. You still have to update your console accordingly to the right firmware. You still have to download most of the game. Most discs are just like, hey, this is a code,
which everyone loves. Everyone loves doing that.
They love it. So no, I don't even think modern games are physical anyway. I would argue that modern games are just a digital front for gaming. Yes, gamings are getting expensive. That's called inflation. That's not necessarily the right way to view gaming prices. You see, games used to be, I don't, if you look at old ads, games did actually used to be in the $80 range, in the $100 range. So actually, games have gotten cheaper because they've generally stayed the same price. Yes, now we're seeing a steep increase. That has a lot to do with other factors. There's a guy in the White House that's shooting tariffs out of his dick, so that probably also has something to do with some of these. Just saying. I know that Nintendo Switch announced their price slightly before the tariffs went active, but Donald Trump was elected in November of last year, so and he was saying he was going to do tariffs, so I think that probably has a lot to do with it. But in general, yes, inflation has made these prices go up, but they've actually, if you look at it historically, they've actually gone down. And the way they've supplemented that was through DLC. What I would argue is that by having them digital in the long term, they're able to do sales much easier. Think about Humble Bundle. Think about all these ways that they've been able to package these games that you wouldn't be able to do with physical. Yes, when they release, they're generally the same price as basically a digital game that's being offered as a physical. By the way, with those physicals, and the bigger games, they tend to offer special editions that have little trinkets that make it shoot way, way up in value. Not value, price. There's a difference. But with the online games, they can go on sale so much easier. And it is literally, it's not even that they have to like do anything big. They just literally say, you know what, this month it's half off. Boom. There you go. Now you have a sale digital. That you just can't do. You can't make prices that liquid with a physical edition.
So you talked about something earlier that I don't agree with about the love of video games or also seeing them as an investment. If you love video games, you see their monetary value. You see what they're worth. And yes, if you're done playing a certain video game, if you beat that 70-hour RPG and you say, well, I probably never want to play this again, you can still love the game. You still had a great time with the game, and you may want to keep it forever, sure. But you may also want to, make a profit. Maybe if you fell on hard times, maybe you got let go from your job, your kidneys are failing, whatever's happening, man, you got to pay for something, and something's got to give. You're always going to have that for backup. You're always going to have that game that you loved. You can say, well, this game's going to get me out of this crunch, and I can sell it for $250.
Sure, and that's a happy accident, in what we call it.
That's not a happy accident.
No, it is. It is, because
that's the power. That's the value of physical games.
No. That's a happy accident because it is great that game that you loved also happened to be worth money. But if you're treating it purely as an investment, it's not about games that you love. It's about what game you think will be worth something in the future. Case in point, I think it was on the Wii. There was some game that like nobody would ever have been interested in playing. I think it was like it released for like $20. I don't even remember what the name is, but but people historically would know what I'm talking about. It was from some no-name developer, but I think they released it and then they just had to stop selling it entirely or something. So instantly the game became like, you got to get this game because they'll never release physical again. Nobody ever talked about how the game played because nobody probably even opened the box because it'd be more valuable unopened. But that's just case in point. If you look at it purely as an investment, it stops being a hobby where you enjoy it and just turns into treating it for its monetary value, which I don't think is what we're interested in. I think that's a completely separate.
Every hobby has that though, right? You can't fault physical games for that.
I don't fault it for it, but I don't think we should be treating it that way. I think if for our intents and purposes, we should be treating it as we love the hobby of playing video games.
That's true.
Love the hobby of collecting.
I'm saying you can have it both ways though. I mean, there's people that love comic books that also understand their monetary value. But there are people that also only collect for monetary value. That's I don't think it's solely one or the other.
Yeah, but I wouldn't argue on the point of the people that collect it for monetary value. I don't think that's a hill you want to die on because that's not
I'm not, but I'm
that's
just
not
saying, like,
gaming. That's
but
something
there
else.
is monetary value.
There can be. There can be, yeah. But
Yeah.
if you want to chase that, I think you'll find that generally there isn't. It's generally a dying proposition.
I actually had this happen a few years ago. I forgot what was going on. I think I was going on a trip or something, and I wanted to make some extra money. And I was looking through some of my games, and I found that a few of my you mentioned the Wii, and it reminded me of this. I had a few Wii games that I didn't really need anymore. One of them was Pandora's Tower, which I remember I bought on clearance for like $20 back in the day, and I played it, and I liked it enough. I actually sold that game for $90. And also I had Bit Trip Complete, which I own all those games like on digitally on other platforms now because they always come out again. So that physical version of Bit Trip Complete for Wii, I sold for like $100. So I made an easy profit with those games, and they were both games that I really liked. I didn't see a need for them anymore, and I think that's the real value of physical games. If I buy a digital game and I'm done playing it and I don't have a need for it anymore, like I'm just stuck with it. I can't do anything with it. I can't sell it. I can't like I'm just stuck with this license to play a game that I don't want to play anymore. Um,
Isn't
and
that
there's
isn't
some
that beautiful that you own something? That you own art?
is that beautiful because I own something?
See again, like you're bringing that corporate piece into it of now I can
You,
sell this for a
I'm
profit.
bringing the
I thought we
the
were
corporate.
I thought we
You were
were I thought we
all like
enjoyed
no,
art.
no. You were all against not trading your games because it's
Yes.
illegal.
Yes.
And now you're saying I'm bringing the corporate no.
You just said you sold it for a profit. That's corporate
Yeah.
speak. I'm saying what happened to loving art? Like what happened to loving these and treating them as pieces of art? You're like, well, I want to sell it later on the market. Final Fantasy 7, real good game, but what can I get for it on the market? Like, come on.
Yeah, I'm done playing
Can't
it.
you just love the game?
Yeah, the game that I own, not the game that I have a digital license to play.
You're the one trying to sell it. I'm just saying, why don't we love the game and just keep it
Forever?
forever?
Even though you're not going to play it?
You might.
You're just building up that trash log on your Steam library.
Okay, here we go again. Here we go again on this side. I'm saying I love games and I want to respect the art form. So he calls it a trash log. Like, can you like
I don't you're not gonna play.
I don't believe Bezos over here.
Of video games, you're not gonna. Why would you want? No. Why would you want to keep something you're not gonna play anymore? What's the point? What's the There's a physical game. If I play the game and I'm like, wow, okay, that was cool. Like I like that game or whatever. But and then like a couple years later, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm probably never gonna play this game again. I can sell it to somebody else. They can get equal value out of it. They can enjoy this game, and I get something else out of it. With the physical game, I play it. I'm like, cool. I like that game. Whatever. I'm never gonna play it again. I'm stuck with it. It's glued to me for the rest of my life. As long as I have whatever account I bought it on, I can't do anything with it. It's just that's it. That's where the road ends. And that's true corporate speak. They're saying we don't want you to get rid of your games. You buy it, you keep it.
Oh my god, boo-hoo. Listen to this.
Your friend wants to play it? No, they gotta buy it too. That's what you're saying.
Wow. Okay, hold on. Excuse me. Now let me turn this table on you. From what you just said, how offensive what you just said is. Think about Stardew Valley. Right? I think you like that game, right?
That's all right.
Why? It's all right. It's a game. Why? How many people made that game? Just like it might have even been one guy, but it was a small team at the least. They put their heart and soul into this game. They probably had to quit their jobs. They probably had to take all these risks to say, like, I believe in the product that I'm making. It's a work of art and it's a work of love. I hope this game does well. And by well, That means people have to buy it.
Okay.
So your argument is, can I just take this game that I bought and just hand it to somebody who therefore no longer has to buy it?
Yeah.
So now what you've done is you've taken 2 sales that they could have had and reduced it down to 1. Now, is that fair to this gaming company that's tried to make a good product?
That is my right as a consumer who bought a product.
Okay, but does that push gaming forward? No. What that does is it takes that opportunity for them to make a sale and it takes it away, reducing profit margins. If smaller companies like this can't make a profit, they're not going to make those games. That's how you get Madden. That's how you get Assassin's Creed 80.
That's also how you get shit games. That's how you get Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Because because EA makes this terrible game. One person buys it, and guess what? They can't lend it to their friend. They can't resell it. If somebody else wants to play it, they're going to have to pay EA again for a game that nobody should be really buying. As opposed to if I bought Dragon Age: The Veilguard, and I said, "Oh man, this game kind of sucks." And then my friend goes, "I kind of wanted to play it. I could just go here, just play mine."
So they lost.
You don't have to. And they should, because it's a bad piece of art. It's not a game that should exist. It's not a game. It's not a game that should exist.
Am I the only one that hears that?
Either way, it's my right as a consumer to do what I want with the products that I buy.
To steal.
I paid for it.
But the other person did not.
Okay.
So that's stealing.
And that's not stealing. You're telling me if you have 3 friends come over and you watch Spider-Man on DVD, those 3 friends should also buy Spider-Man on DVD. That's what you're telling me, because they're watching the film for free at your house. Is that illegal, Spencer?
No.
It's not illegal.
No. They watched it at my house.
Because that's your product to do with what you want.
Yeah.
So that's the same argument.
No. If they wanted to buy it and own it, then they should have to do that. Down the road. And that's something that they can do.
So you can't sell them Spider. You say, "Man, I don't want to watch Spider-Man ever again."
You shouldn't be able to. No. If you want to get into it, there's laws about selling, about reselling, about doing all this. That's why people don't just do that on the street. There's laws for this. Companies have to meet certain requirements so that they can get a license to sell these things.
Are you telling me I'm going to get arrested for selling Spider-Man on DVD?
I'm thinking about calling the police on you right now because some of the things that you've said. I'm thinking about it, and I might do it.
All right. We've been on value for a long time. We should move on.
All right, what's the next one?
What have we done? We did accessibility and value.
Yeah.
Fuck, we should have made a list.
Accessibility, value.
Shit. This is the part of the show. Hey, this is the intermission. You guys get
By the way,
snack.
This was Alex's job to get these down.
I didn't write them down.
Yes, I know. That's what I'm explaining. Is that this is your job to get these down.
I know, and I'm confirming that I didn't write them down.
This is Alex's one task.
I didn't do it.
Ownership was one.
Ownership. Oh Lord.
We kind of touched on it, but I guess we'll hit this now.
Yeah, we've already started touching upon it, and we'll touch it even more. Touch it all over. Ownership. Who really owns a product? Who owns a digital game? Do you own it? Do you own it, consumer? Does the storefront own it? No. The license holder owns it, which is the company that says, EA says, "We're so gracious that you want to play Dragon Age: The Veilguard. We're willing to let you pay us $80 to play Dragon Age: The Veilguard today. But you don't own it. And guess what? If we decide to take it off the storefront, if we decide we no longer want to be associated with the product that we made, it's gone forever. And if you don't have it downloaded, it's gone forever. You don't own it anymore. Sorry, buddy. I hate to tell you. As for if I bought a copy of Dragon Age: The Veilguard, which is something you shouldn't do. If I did buy a copy of Dragon Age: The Veilguard, though, I own that copy of Dragon Age: The Veilguard forever. Sure, now it's annoying because I have to download digital updates and digital installs. So you notice that word digital, nobody likes it when it comes to like putting a disc in. But I still own some portion of the product is still on that disc, and I still own it, and I can do whatever I want with that product. Um, it isn't they can't come and delete my copy. Nobody from EA is going to show up to my house, bust in the room, and break my copy of Dragon Age: The Veilguard over their knee and say, "Too bad, you can't play anymore." That's not going to happen. This also is a big thing with free to play games. We've seen this a lot recently. A free to play game is a nice game in theory. They're all digital. Even if you buy a copy of Fortnite at the store, you're buying a code to play Fortnite or something. Like it's not there. There's no way to own these games. And say you got really into playing I don't know what was the Smash Bros game from WB, that one, fucking whatever it was called, that game. Say you got really into playing that game, you got really good with Batman or Jake the dog or whoever the hell, and you got all the skins and all the characters and whatever else. It's going offline. I'm pretty sure it just went offline, and it's gone forever. You can't play it anymore. You wasted all your money on a digital product that's gone. You don't own it. You can't own it. It's done. As you know, if I had bought a physical copy of that game that didn't get a physical release, but if it did, if I had bought it, I would still own it. Sure, it's offline, but I would still be able to own it and play it in some capacity, probably. But it's a matter of fact that whenever it comes to digital games and digital licenses, you don't own anything. And so the argument of ownership as it comes to the consumer, it's all physical. That's the only thing you can own.
I think ownership is a word that has like a lot of weight to it. And I think gamers specifically ascribe ownership with this thing of importance that I very rarely see them ever truly care about. They say that they care about it. I don't think it actually offers them anything that they want. It's kind of silly to hear gamers talk about ownership, because it's like they'll say things like, "I want to be able to, when the servers go offline, I want to be able to play it." Yeah, for free to play games aside, I'll address that in a second. But I have almost seen 0 instances where a gamer can't play the game that they downloaded or that they bought. I think there was like one instance where it was it the Scott Pilgrim game or something? The beat 'em up?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one
where they couldn't play it.
For a while.
Okay. I think history remembers that one. And I think every other game that is a very specific set of circumstances that is unfortunate. But every other game, there might be a couple other ones or something, but in general, you can always play them. Just because they're not on the storefront, if you have the key to it and if it's sitting there, you can still play it. Yes, other people can't download it perhaps or buy it. We can get to that in a second when we get to the next one, which is preservation. By the way, that's the last segment or the 4th segment. But that's a separate issue. In general, if you want to talk about free to play games, I think we need to readjust how we look at these as an experience as opposed to ownership. Gaming now has a thing called games as a service. And I think when you understand that concept, it's the game of right now and enjoying it. It means that these games are designed to be popular with people while they are popular and are supposed to be played with people while they enjoy it. As soon as they stop enjoying it, the game goes away. But the game wouldn't exist without people enjoying it. Does that make sense? So
Tell Skull and Bones that.
that's a weird one, but I don't actually know how that one's still going. But that's a separate issue. A game like Fortnite, yes, it's interesting that at some point they're going to have to pull the servers on that, and and that game will go away. But you can't really say I want to go back and play that game, because you would also have to have hundreds of thousands of other people also saying I would like to go back and play that game to maintain that experience. And if that were the case, that game would still be going on. Unfortunately, that's not how that kind of game works. So ascribing an ownership perspective of that and the ability to go back and play that just doesn't make any sense. The ownership of it is not the point of you being able to play it wherever you want. It's playing it in the ecosystem that they've created. You have to hand ownership to them. Otherwise, the whole thing falls apart. So I think ownership in general in modern games is a very misunderstood term. And I don't think that people really understand what owning it actually means.
Don't think it's necessarily untrue, but I also think there are instances where we've seen well, there have been more games delisted than just Scott Pilgrim, but that is the like the poster boy one. But yeah, there's been a lot of games that like I think have been delisted or like are just unplayable now due to like time or whatever it is that people still want to play. And when I see those games, it's more of like the companies themselves no longer make the effort to make those games playable, even though they are still popular or they still have a fan base. It's usually like the fans themselves have to make it happen. I think Final Fantasy 11 is a big one. Like you can play Final Fantasy 11 now, but it's all through like fan made servers and run programs. Um, and that's like Square Enix they don't care about that game at all. There's no involvement. So if it wasn't for the people that actually like the game would no longer exist.
Mhm.
Which then begs the question: like you're playing it through a fan made server, but it's Square Enix game that they don't want to supply anymore. Like who owns the game? It's still Square Enix, right? um,
That's interesting. But again, that's an early idea of games as a service, MMORPGs.
there's also an issue. There was something that big happened that this affected me personally. Back last generation, I bought a copy of Overwatch, and I liked Overwatch quite a bit. I thought it was fun. I played it. I bought a few skins. I had a good time. I paid the full whatever $50, whatever price it was when it came out, and I thought it was pretty damn good. Played it a bunch. Played it a bunch. Played it a bunch. I owned that, right? I owned that game, the Overwatch, because I paid the $50. No, I didn't. Whenever Overwatch 2 came out, they steamrolled my copy of Overwatch, and with Overwatch 2, they just splatted it on there. I can no longer play Overwatch anymore. I have to play Overwatch 2 and all the stupid nonsense they've put into that game and all the free to play bullshit in that game. They took a game that I bought full price for $50 and put a lot of time into, and they said, nah. And they chucked it out the door. They said, you're playing this now. And I don't understand that. Yeah, I didn't own Overwatch the whole time.
Yeah.
Why did I pay for
I
that?
I think that comes down to an industry that was trying to understand games as a service and wasn't quite there yet when they created that game, which was good. I remember on release, it literally was the biggest it's ever been when it released, and then slowly, it wasn't like a quick death or anything. It just like slowly lost popularity. So probably a big win for them. But I think Blizzard mishandled that, and I think that's on them. Is that they didn't really understand the games as a service thing, and they made people buy it when it probably should have been free. And they just monetize it with skins. But Blizzard is owned by Activision, I think, or something like that. And so
Yeah.
they're like, make as much money as you can. And see, that's bad business practice. But what they really wanted to do with that clearly was the games as a service. And I think they mishandled that, and I think that is a good example of how companies should not treat a digital property is also make you try to buy into it with a upfront price.
Not only that, but I didn't mind buying Overwatch, and I had fun with it. But the problem was that whenever Overwatch 2 came out, they essentially just deleted
Right.
Overwatch.
Well, and I think the problem with that is their intention was that you buy the product and therefore you get to play the product. But with most games that aren't games as a service, the product you buy on launch is essentially the same game you'll have forever. They'll add patches and they'll add fixes to it, but in general, the concept is that's the game you buy. With Overwatch, their goal was to constantly change it and evolve it as you were playing. Therefore, the product that you bought at launch doesn't look anything like the product that you have now. And I think that is a misinterpretation on their end of games as a service, where they were trying to have their cake and eat it too. They're trying to get you something that you're going to constantly put money into, which should have been their profit margin. But they also charge you an upfront price of, I want to buy this game. And I think that is on them of that's a shitty business practice that I think now people have looked at Overwatch 2 and are like, fuck it.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. Companies that do that should be shunned. That is a bad practice.
It is. I at one point I could tell people like, yeah, I'm a fan of Overwatch, but now when I say it, I'm like, yeah, I liked Overwatch 1. That's like what I have to say now because
Yeah.
This whole experience. It's like I
Uh-huh.
don't play Overwatch 2. I played it a few times, and it's like I don't want to touch it. They since I paid for that game, they should have had Overwatch 2 be a separate game, and then Overwatch 1 should have just stayed even if they didn't want to update it, anymore. Just keep it the way it was. It's just there. It's just there.
I
People that liked
agree.
Overwatch 1 should have just been able to play Overwatch 1.
If you're
But
gonna do games as a service, if you're going to, I think legally, if you're going to alter the game to the point that it's essentially a different game, you should not be making people pay an upfront price for it. That's just bad
yeah,
business practice. That's like saying, yeah, if you want to buy The Witcher 3, okay, I bought The Witcher 3 because I wanted an action adventure RPG where I make choices, and they're like, yeah, but we're gonna evolve it into a sports game. Like,
yeah.
like that should be illegal. That's like literally you're a bait and switch giving you a completely different game, and so I think that is bad business practice.
It is. I'm curious. You know what? Speaking of physical versus digital, I am curious. We're talking about Overwatch way too long. I am curious what's on those Overwatch discs now. I don't have one anymore because I just had it on my Xbox. Like I think I had a copy for PS4 a little bit, and then I got rid of it because I had it on Xbox digital, and I was like, I'll just play it there. So I wonder what's on those, like if those physical discs work anymore, or if they don't do anything, if they just pop them into your PlayStation or whatever. If they just are like,
Probably Ninja Turtle skins, something like that. I don't know, something stupid.
Yeah. So
Let's
we
talk.
we got off the debate.
Let's talk about preservation, because I think that's one of the big
Yes.
things that people want to talk about, which I think has
Eh,
wins on both sides. So let's talk about preservation.
Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
Okay, go ahead.
I think when people think of physical media in the terms of preservation, I think a lot of times they're thinking about dusty shelves in like a museum. Yep, you're looking at it, where you can say, "Oh, this was a game that was on a shelf, and now it's on this shelf." You can look at the box. Depending, you may or may not be able to open the box because sometimes they leave them sealed. I think in general for a museum they should all be open because you should be able to open the box and see the that stuff. And I think there is value in that, but I think through true gaming preservation that will never work because those games will wear and tear. Those games will break. Those games don't last forever. What does last forever is digital media. Code never dies. It just moves. It goes from one place to another, but it's always somewhere. And I think we see that through emulation. I think digital media is the key. Digital media is the key to preservation. And I say that through emulation. As soon as they can no longer sell a product, I think it generally becomes open to emulation. A Super Nintendo game, for instance, all those games are open to emulation, in my opinion, because they can no longer sell you a Super Nintendo and no longer sell you a cartridge that has that Super Nintendo game. Therefore, emulatable. And I think online you can literally get any of those games and just emulate them. And I think in the future, not too distant, it will be the norm that you could go to some kind of museum, or maybe it'll be in a VR museum or something. That'd be the ultimate irony. But there'd be a museum, and you can literally just boot up a Super Nintendo and play any game that's ever come out for it. And we're basically there now. It's just not necessarily considered legal, although it's just kind of general practice at this point. But through that, I think you're really going to see the ability to preserve all of these games and make them a permanent way to experience them for people in the future.
The true issue with games preservation, and it's funny you brought up emulation, because yeah, it's not technically legal, unless you go through, like, you jump through a lot of hoops, like ripping your own ROMs off of
Yeah.
your own cartridges, and it's so stupid. But yeah, games preservation. The big issue is, yes, like, a library or like a museum of physical games would be great, but yeah, they are going to wear and tear, and, like, you can't be like, I'm going to borrow a game from 1978, and then expect it to be in perfect condition because it's been there forever. But the other side of the coin is that with digital and the fight against emulation with all these companies, is that they want the right to control games that they don't have any value. They're not going to do anything with these older titles. So companies like Nintendo, they're the big one. I think the other ones are in on it too, but it's basically Nintendo's a big one. They want to own all of these games, and they want to be able to charge you for the right to possibly play them one day. That's the idea behind, like, the Switch Online services and stuff. Is like, you subscribe to the Super Nintendo service, and you're not going to be able to play every Super Nintendo game or anything. You're going to be able to play a few, the ones they can get the licenses for and the ones they own. But and then other companies like Capcom, they want the right to resell you the games packaged together. So I'm a Mega Man fan. They milk me for all I'm worth because they keep re-releasing these damn Mega Man games. Preservation is also cool because we want to be able to play games years and years in the future. And digital is a ideal way to do it, I do think, because you can essentially re-release games at any time for any platform, and they'll work. As long as you have, like, the emulation, they'll just work. Um, the issue is that companies aren't going to do that, and also storefronts are never going to last. We saw that with the 3DS and the Wii U. All of those games that are on that storefront are just gone now. Virtual console games, whatever else was on there, they're all gone. You can't buy them anymore. As long as if you bought them, you can play them, but that's it. So there was no preservation. They just kind of just shut it off. There was no preservation of, like, what was happening. I think there was a fan project that happened that, like, kept the server for the store up or something. But again, that's on that's on fans to keep going. And just like I said earlier, like, yeah, a physical copy will have wear and tear, but, like, Nintendo can't just delete my copy, because they want to sell it again. They can't just come in my house and delete Mario Galaxy from my shelf because they want to sell me Mario Galaxy. Like, I can preserve this copy of Mario Galaxy for forever. And I think I've been talking mainly about digital in this part because digital is so complicated when it comes to games preservation, and physical really isn't. As long as you take care of it, physical is just there forever. I mean, now it's more complicated because you have to do, like, digital downloads for a lot of games, but still, it's not that complicated for physical, and I think that's why it's the better appeal for preservation.
I hear the Nintendo one a lot, and I think that argument is misconstrued because people want to, like, nobody ever brings up, like, Xbox or PS5 because it's like, oh, they just have all their shit online.
I think Xbox does the better job
They
because they
do.
preserve. Yeah, they preserve their not all of it, but they have a lot of backwards compatible games that
Hmm.
you pay a small fee to play,
Yeah.
and that's great. That's good.
Yeah, Xbox is doing a good job with that. But I think that even ties into my point is that I think some of the criticism shouldn't necessarily be against digital specifically. I think it should be against these companies, especially Nintendo. Nintendo actually goes out of their way to go against preservation, which
Mhm.
I think is a reflection on them, not necessarily digital. They have storefronts that just expire, and they have no way to translate them over because they're like, how do you translate a 3DS library or a 3DS shop? You can't, because what are you going to do, play it on your Switch? Like what, like they go out of their way to make experiences that have to stay on certain consoles, and then they kill it. So that's really, to me, on them in a lot of those instances. It's those companies should be called out. And yes, sometimes it's up to you to have a physical copy. All that stuff is emulatable at this point. It's called the main one I think is called Citra 3DS, and so you can emulate it. And they are working on devices that can be played in a dual screen. Unfortunately, I think the only one I saw was like $700. That seemed viable, and it's like, it's a joke.
I think I've seen the one you're
Yeah,
talking about. Yeah.
it's like $700. I think they even stopped like supporting it, which is crazy because I think it even came out just like last year. Um, so that is a work in progress for sure. But I think you really need to look at these companies and say you need to stand up for these products, because yeah, they are going to get lost in time, and the only way, they're almost like encouraging us to download them illegally, even though they stopped selling them, but because they're just simply not supporting them in any way. And I think some of the onus should be switched over to the companies, not necessarily the concept of digital in and of itself.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Nintendo, and it's hard to like talk about this and not just talk about Nintendo because they
Yeah.
are the biggest culprits. They are the biggest culprits. Not saying the other ones haven't done it, but they are the worst when it comes to this.
Yeah, they're just like
Uh,
like questionable tactics of just them being mean about it for
yeah.
no reason.
Well,
It's
and they've tried the same tactics with physical. Remember the Mario 3D collection? I
yeah.
didn't buy that because they were like, "Look, it's gonna be available for like 6 months or whatever. Then we're not doing it anymore. It's rare." And I'm like, "It's not. That doesn't make it like rare. That is, there's like millions of these things printed." But I didn't buy it
Hmm.
because they're just selling you 3 games that you can play anywhere else that aren't even like enhanced or anything. They were just like, "Look, you can only buy it on this cartridge for like 6 months."
Yeah, well, that's my policy, is that it should be, if you're not going to manufacture the console and you're not going to manufacture the game, it should be emulatable at this
Yeah,
point. Like, because it's not like I'm stealing it because you're not selling it. So like, how could, there's literally no way for me to get that version of it, so I can't steal it. You can't steal something that somebody isn't selling.
yeah,
Like that's
sure.
just impossible. So yeah, theoretically they could re-release it on their stupid Switch online service, but that's not the Super Nintendo game. That's a ROM of it that's playing on a Switch. That's not the experience that I'm looking for. I'm looking for the Super Nintendo experience, and you're not selling it. So therefore, it should be legal for me to download it. That's my opinion.
True.
I think that's the way it's going to have to be adopted, or emulation is just going to be completely outlawed, which I don't foresee because that's been going on for 20 plus years, probably longer than that, 30 years.
But you can't argue that physical is the easiest way in terms of, I guess, legality to just own a product forever, to just preserve it forever. Um,
Purely legally, yeah, but definitely not the easiest way.
Not the easiest way, no, of course, simulation, but there's less of a gray area when it
Mhm.
comes to just physical games just
Yeah.
being for a forever product, right? And I think that's like still kind of like the evergreen point of view, right? Is
Yeah.
physical is just, you know, it's just going to be there forever. I think that's why we still get a lot of physical games, and even though the market is leaning more towards digital, we still get a lot of physical products, and we see companies that like specialize in that, like what's that company, Limited Run, right?
Yeah.
That's their whole thing, is that they go, well, look, we're going to sell you this physical version you can only buy here, and this physical version is going to be around forever, and that's kind of like the appeal, I guess. um so I don't know. I don't really have a side for this, but because it's a messy topic, we should have chosen this one. But it is an interesting topic.
No, I mean that's the important one, isn't it? I mean, one of
Yeah,
the important ones. Um, our next topic is wait, sex appeal.
sex appeal.
Huh?
I think I'm taking this home 100%, baby.
Oh.
Sex appeal. Nothing is sexier than a physical video game. Owning, holding, looking. How many times did you get a game whenever you were growing up, Spencer?
Hmm.
And you
Want to have
were
sex with?
riding, yeah, and you wanted to put your dick in the Super Nintendo box. No, you were riding home, and you were admiring the box and like what's on the back of it, and like the instruction manual,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like all the little details. Sometimes I love physical games because they add all sorts of little details. I love I wish I had it over here. There's the manual for the GameCube game Wario World. You know, we love Wario. He's a sexy man. Um, there's these cute little details that didn't need to be in this manual that like kind of enhances the experience as a package. There's a whole page and or like a 2-page spread that's dedicated to the anatomy of Wario's body. And it like breaks down like the different pieces of his body, and it like has like funny little quotes like stomach, like he eats a lot of garlic, so he's really gassy, like it's like something like that. It's just like really fun, you know what I mean? And that's fucking awesome. And I've seen digital games try this. I have a few. They're garbage at it. I'm gonna point at PlayStation for these. I saw this a lot on PS 4. I think I own like a few that had digital art books and stuff, like Horizon and Tearaway and Dreams. They came with digital art books and digital soundtracks that like are supposed to be like kind of like that experience to like enhance your. But the problem is that they're all digital, and they like install as a separate application on your device, and they don't really feel like they're part of the game. They like I don't want to have to click over to some like other application to open up a digital art book to look at a picture of Aloy. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't work. It's not sexy. What's sexy is buying a box that has the game and also just has a book. And I could just, while the game's playing, I could just open the book and be like, hey, look, there's Aloy. Like, this is a cool piece of art, And that's sexy. Nothing about a digital game is sexy. Everything about a digital game is cumbersome. The install times, the file sizes, the fact that they can't do anything special with it. They try to give you digital deluxe. You ever pre-order a damn digital game and they give you digital deluxe add-ons, and it's like, oh man, I can't wait for Chris Redfield to have different shoes. It's like, no, it's like they can't do anything sexy with a digital game. It's just boiled down to its essence.
My friend over here is the kind of guy that would write a girl a song to win her over. Let me do a metaphor here, an analogy, if you will. Here's what a physical wooing process looks like. You take a girl out on a date. There's an expectation that if she gets steak, she has to put out. You have to see if she's going to order the steak. She decides to do it. Great. You're in. So you have this dinner with her, and you're just waiting to do your thing, we'll call it. I don't want to be too vulgar, too crass. You're waiting to do your thing. You guys are eating. She's doing your thing. You have to talk to her. Okay. My mother said this, and my sister said this. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. You're enduring it. It'll be worth it at the end. Okay. You take her home. You say, "Are you ready to? I think we should go into the bedroom." She goes, "Well, I want to sit on the couch and just hang out for a little bit." Oh God. Now you're watching Netflix shows you don't like, but she likes them, and you put your arm around her, you're courting her, you're doing your thing, and she's talking about her friends. We do this. You go, okay. Finally, look at the time. I gotta work tomorrow. Let's head in. She goes, okay. And so then you go into your bedroom. Now she needs a little stimulation. You've been ready to pop for a while. You're 3 hours deep at this point. She wants you to do, tickle her forehead, tickle her neck, do these little things, do all these little tricks. You're putting in the Konami code on her. Finally, you get to do your thing. It's like 30 seconds. That should have been, 3 hours ago. Okay, that's physical. Digital, she says, "I'm ready to go." Click. That is sexy. I don't think there can be any argument. There's nothing sexier than easy in and easy out. And I think digital achieves that in spades in ways that physical just simply never could.
Easy in, easy out with a digital game?
Oh yeah.
In what reality? In what reality?
Go to store. If you want to buy it, click buy.
Okay.
Download
buying
it.
Elden Ring.
Yeah, buying Elden Ring.
90 gigs.
No big deal. Internet exists.
Big deal.
Download it. Play it.
No, to your console. Yo, your console ran out of storage, Spencer.
Yeah, delete some of the old news. They ain't around anymore.
Okay, delete other games to install another game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait for the install.
And there's something sexy about that is kicking people out of your life too. Kicking these games out that you no longer interested in.
Elden Ring has now you get the message. Elden Ring now installed, ready to play. You hold on. You click on Elden Ring. Patch 4.0 is downloading.
Ooh, I love patches. Oh,
you have another 4. Yeah. You have another 4 hours, buddy. You better wait.
Oh my God, it does not take 4 hours.
Depending on how big the patch is. You buy a game fresh, and you're getting
a big patch.
You're getting 4 patches deep. It's going to be a big patch.
Ooh, tell me more, Daddy. Come on.
You're gonna have to wait.
See, now that's foreplay for digital games.
No, it's called
toying with.
That's called,
and I like that.
Waiting. That's called having to find something else to do.
Oh my God! No! Because you can turn into
a
sexual game by staring at the bar.
Your dick gets soft. You go make a sandwich.
I'm getting harder, and I'm loving it.
By the time the game installs and the patch is ready, you don't even want to play anymore. It's kind of
See, in physical, you're having to provide the foreplay. In digital, they're foreplaying on you.
Oh yeah, I hope you love watching that download progression bar.
I love it. I get into it.
Yeah.
I say, "When are you going to treat me?" And they say, "Soon. We're in control."
They say.
And I like.
They say possibly 4 hours. That's the estimated time.
No.
Maybe soon.
No, that's not.
It might be.
It's not that long. It's 10 minutes.
And that's you know what? And that's if you could even get on the damn storefront to buy anything. Because God forbid you want to buy a game when it's popular. Day it comes out.
Never had an issue with that.
Oh, I have. For sure. I went on the Steam storefront one time. I forget what game was coming out. It's kind of like Sons of the Forest or some shit. I don't know what was coming out. It's kind of like big survival game. I was going on to buy. Yeah, I was going on to buy something else, and the storefront wouldn't work because it was just flooded with people buying Sons of the Forest.
Okay, it was a very narrow.
No, it's not.
That's never.
That's what a big.
I've been on Steam for a long time, and that's never happened to me. So I don't. I think you're making that up, but
I'm not making
I'll give you that it may have happened, and that is very rare. That's almost never.
Okay. All right. Give me a second. Hold on. Just keep lying to the viewers, and I will be right back.
Viewers, let me know how sexy you find downloading your video game and then playing it immediately. The climax is unlike anything you've ever experienced. And once you go digital, you'll never go back. And you can admit that in the comments below. So there you go.
This is the physical version of Senran Kagura Peach Beach Splash,
Yeah.
a game about anime girls with water guns.
I love that you own that. Yeah, keep going.
Thank you. Well, I own many things I don't want to admit. And this is a physical special edition. Something that digital games just can't do. Look how nice this box is. Look, it fits nice on my shelf.
I'm
It has,
shocked
like,
that he's admitting to this on
look,
camera. Like
look,
this.
and then you open. I've already done this on my channel. You open the box and look. There's a physical art book, Spencer.
I'm surprised you can even
Look.
open the pages. They're not stuck together.
Yeah, they're a little sticky, but it's fun. Look, hot anime girls with water guns. That's pretty great. Isn't that nice? Oh, what's this? What's this? Is this a physical 2-disc soundtrack and DVD? Is that what that is? That's fucking awesome. Look how nice the packaging is. Look how sexy this is, man. And it's all nice and compact. The game was also in here at one point. It's on my shelf. But it's nice and compact in this little box. And it just feels like it feels like something special. It feels like a great date night out. This is a hot girl. Spencer's over here fucking sluts.
This
That's all
guy's
he's
looking
doing.
for a date night.
He wants fast. He wants fast and easy. That's all Spencer wants. Fast
Rule
and easy.
34 www.rule34.com. All that is taken care of. You don't need any of that shit.
All I'm saying is that's hot. That's a hot collector's edition.
People in the comments, please tell us who won this, and you can say me immediately. Tell us who won. Who won, physical or digital? Don't even think about your opinion, because quite honestly, it's irrelevant. What you need to say is who won this argument, and I think the results will be very clear.
All right, debate mode off.
Zoom.
God damn it! I'm glad I'm out of there.
I think this was actually probably more, especially in the second half of it, more friendly and agreeable than the first one.
Well, the issue is that as much as I want to defend physical games, and this is again when we do these the debate episodes, I have to take the side of whatever I'm debating.
Right.
As much as I want to defend physical games, and I do enjoy them, obviously, I like physical games. I've been digital for like 5 years. That's been that's mainly how I buy my games now.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. And it's like, I mean, there are things that very clearly physical is like wins at.
I like it. Yeah, I like physical stuff. Like I still get physical stuff every once in a while, but like the majority of just like my average gaming is all digital now.
Yeah. Yeah. So and people just really die on the physical hill.
Yeah.
But it's just not very convenient. Really, at the end of the day.
Whenever people see this stuff, they're like, "Wow, you must love physical games." And I'm like, I've had half this shit for like 20 years.
Yeah.
It's like that's why I have so much stuff. Yeah, I just never got rid of it. I clearly didn't take my own advice.
It's definitely a hot button issue. It's a weird issue because I think it's one that there's no passionately digital people, but there are passionately physical people, and then everyone else just doesn't care. So I would be curious how this one turns out.
But it's like the only thing I buy. I've started buying some PS5 games, but even then, I own most of my PS5 stuff now digital. I think I have 5 physical PS5 games, which is not. That is crazy low for a disc-based console for me. I think it was like ever since like 2020 or so. Like I got into like the Xbox ecosystem again, and then I got into the Steam ecosystem, and then I just got like a more adapted to like buying this like digital products
Mhm.
and while playing games that way. Um, so yeah, I have issues with them. Sure, I have issues with everything. You know, nothing's ever going to be evergreen. You know, that's just the gaming. But yeah, it's just like that's just the kind of like landscape. Like I don't want to leave my house to buy. We didn't talk about that. I don't want to leave my house to go buy a game. Like I don't want to like I might order something on Amazon, like a PS5 game, or like I still buy some Switch stuff, because yeah, it's fucking Nintendo games. They do hold their value, but it's like I don't want to fucking go to the store.
Yeah, don't you feel like a dweeb going to a store and buying a video game? Like I go to
Yeah,
Target and it's like I'm like a 36-year-old man, and then I have to go to like this pimply kid behind the counter and be like, "Can I get a
which,
game over here?" They're like, "Yeah, which game do
which
you want?"
which game do you want?
Yeah. And then I just like I
um,
kind of think to
po-
myself, I'm like, "Oh,
Pokemon
yeah."
Pikachu's birthday party.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, and if it's like one of those kiddie games, you get to pretend like you barely know how to pronounce it because you're like getting it as a gift. Like it's like
Dude,
Pokemon Pikachu's birthday party or something.
Pikachu's bar mitzvah.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, I legitimately did that too. Like whenever I was like an adult, um, I was into I liked the Toys for Life stuff. I thought it was fun,
Yeah.
and I liked Skylanders. And I remember one time I legitimately bought like a starter pack of Skylanders stuff for like one of the games at Walmart, and I was like, yeah, it's for my nephew because the guy
Yeah,
was
like
asking
they don't
me
even
a
ask.
question. No, no, no.
Oh,
The
they
guy
did ask.
asked me a question about it, and I was like, I don't know. It's for my nephew, but like, literally, it's for me. Like, I was so excited to go home and play
Yeah.
it. But like, I was like 20, and I didn't want him to know that I was buying this fucking the Skylanders game for myself. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at home, there's no shame at home.
Yeah.
No shame.
Oh, there
No
is
one's
not.
watching.
All right. Well,
Do whatever I want.
thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah. Just yeah.